Welcome to the Ultimate Bloons TD6 strategy series where I'm going to be showing you strategies for every single tower from the Dart Monkey to the Beast Handler and every single path in between. This will show you how to diversify your setup and get better, along with seeing some stats, tips and tricks, and all of the strategies for every single one of the towers. And although that the series is geared more towards Chimps mode, this will also show you a lot of tips and tricks that apply to the standard game and will allow you to win with a new style. Moving back to taking a look at some of the heroes, we're going to be starting off with Etienne, which is a pretty interesting hero. Etienne has a lot of capabilities that would probably gear more towards beginners, so let's take a look at some of them. So starting off, Etienne has a whole bunch of good levels. A lot of them don't really do a whole lot, but let's take a look at some. So level 3 you get the drone swarm ability, which will make the drones actually pretty good in the early game, although really when it's open. Level 5 you get camo detection, and level 7 you get 2 drones, which really is a big increase. Level 8 you get map wide camo detection, which is the big thing that a lot of people use at the end for, and level 10 you get the UCAV ability, which is a pretty strong ability that you can use pretty well in the mid game. Then from there, there's just like a lot of levels in between. Level 15 and 16 really ramp up the damage. So basically, you'll over time like just get stronger drones. They aren't crazy, but there's something. And then level 20, you get permanent UCAV, which is pretty nice. And the permanent UCAV really is kind of where Etienne gets some good strength. So the XP scaling is 1.0, so you're going to be getting level 20 at some point in the game. On easier maps, it's not going to be until very, very late, like beginner and intermediate maps. But on advanced and expert maps, you'll be getting level 20 UCAV at a very, very nice time. And that's really where a lot of the good damage is. And then when it comes to buffs, you can give Etienne MIB to make the UCAV pop DDTs by giving it black property. At level 20 you can use the ability to do that, but that isn't really always consistent, and sometimes you might not have that. Then call to arms and homeland defense is another really cool thing, because it's a sub tower, it will actually be buffed by that. So you get pierce and attack speed, and with homeland defense it can really do a lot of damage. Like that is an absurd amount of ZOMGs there, and the entire thing's going to get popped down with the homeland defense. So we're going to be taking a look at a chimp strategy that involves that later, which is going to be really, really cool and exciting to see. Now going on to the strategies that will best involve Etienne, something that would be like requiring the UCAV ability in the mid game, and then would require some cleanup in the late game too. Maybe something like Dark Champion might be good. Any other towers that go around that, but I'm going to be looking at an example with the Comanche defense and the call to arms later on, because that's actually really, really strong together and has a lot of synergy. And when it comes to maps that Etienne is useful, it really could be pretty much anything. You'll get the global camo, the abilities are global, the other drones can see over walls and all that stuff. So the pros is that you get free camo, strong level 10, level 20 ability, great cleanup, and strong burst mid-game damage. And the cons is that it has a weaker early game and it's ability based damage, and you can get cheap camo for other options, which kind of makes for better players. Everything else, like with the free camo, kind of redundant. So Etienne's objectives is that it has the abilities, we're going to be looking at that, the Etienne camo, Etienne synergy, and then the CTA and Comanche commander strategy that is going to be really cool to look at. So Etienne doesn't really have any like specific synergies. The other one that I'm going to be showing later on with the CTA is kind of more specific to the CTA itself, as it will be buffing sub towers, which is something that a lot of other buffs won't be able to apply to. Debuffs are kind of like that too. But anyways, you can kind of just throw Etienne into any random strategy, whatever. It doesn't really have to be super specific. Like here you could just have going like for a perma charge, something in the mid game, then you could like pull a UCAV here and there to beat up rounds. The thing is that ability, the UCAV ability, isn't like going to be permanent. Drone Storm will do a little bit of damage, but when it comes to like damage in the mid game, Etienne will only be able to take care of the hardest parts, which can be good in some cases, but for a lot of people that might not even be that good necessarily, which is kind of interesting. And that kind of relates to how I feel about Etienne. I feel like Etienne kind of just has fallen off a lot. Etienne used to be like considered the best of the best heroes, but not really anymore. Some people still really like Etienne though, and that's good for them, I guess. However, it does pain me a little bit inside, even though that I know it like shouldn't be annoyed at how other people play the game, but it is kind of annoying to see when you get Etienne just for the camo detection, like nothing else. You don't do anything, never hit the abilities, it's just for the camo detection, when you could buy a camo detection village for $2,000. Crazy. Anyways, when Etienne gets level 20, I feel like that's where like the power is, and on some maps this is actually better than others, because sometimes the way that it like flies around, it will be often hitting like really bad spots. Sometimes it will like clean up better, but just because you can't like target where it goes, same with the genie, sometimes it will be like hitting the last Bloons instead of the first Bloons, which is generally not what you want to do. Well, definitely not what you want to do if your tower that is going to be hitting that last Bloon is oriented more towards cleanup. So it's like a mixed bag for me, but honestly not really my favorite hero. But if it's your favorite hero, that's completely fine, and there are definitely some cool things that you can do with Etienne, so it's not like Etienne is kind of utter trash. But you can just put Etienne in some random game, and it will be able to do some cleanup, something like more oriented towards that. If you want some strong like burst mid-game damage too, and free camo to save like $3,000, go ahead for it. It might be a good option in your Chimps game, and it definitely can work, because I'm going to show you some things that you can do with it too. So moving on to this game, we're going to be on another brick Chimps, which is going to be really funky. We're going to have Etienne there. We're going to get Etienne. You can use the drone swarm ability in the early game. Now the drones don't really do like a whole lot of damage. They do a decent amount ish, but compared to other heroes, not really a crazy amount. However, when you use the drone swarm ability, they will actually clean things up. The only thing to note is that it takes some time for the drones to actually deploy. Like they will be deployed over the Bloons, but for a whole like 1.5 seconds, they are not going to be doing anything, which is really interesting and really great when that happens to you. So just keep that in mind. The other thing is that for camo, you aren't going to be getting global camo until like usually about round 42 on most maps, so you can have Etienne like dealing with camo, but on some maps like the targeting is just going to be so dumb. You can change it back to first, like over levels it will like get these new targeting options, which they like target so like strong, close, last. I don't know exactly which ones, but I always just try to turn them back onto first, because I feel like that's always going to be better. So that's what I kind of do there. But even with that, they'll just like, the AI can be so bad for what it's trying to hit. Using the drone swarm ability is kind of like necessary most of the time to be like around 37 and stuff like that, so you can get away with like not getting camo at all and just getting like freeloading until Etienne gets to level 8, and then that will deal with it. Either that or another tower just has some amount of camo by default, and that will work out well. But just keep that in mind. Sometimes like the free camo isn't always what it seems to be, but most of the time it can work out, and if you're doing things right, you should be able to generally get it. Anyways, for this game, we got that sub and alchemist for the early game carry. Then I went over into the heli pilot, and then Etienne's going to give us the camo, so I don't need to get that just yet, but I can't get discount because I'm going to be saving the cross path for when we need to go for the CTA, which will be in the middle route anyways. I'm going to get something to just get a bit more pure, so we'll have that dragon's breath and the Comanche defense. We'll save up all the way to Comanche Commander, and I can use my Etienne abilities in case I need it on some rounds like 63, when both waves exhaust all of the Comanche defenses helis. Sometimes that really is a struggle for Comanche defense if you don't have anything else to deal with the third wave on a lot of maps, but with Etienne you can just use that UCAV and that last wave is done, which is really nice. So you could do that. You can bring it all the way into 78. Just a note, for 78 you need to use the UCAV as soon as the round starts, or else you won't get it back for the second wave on 78, so that's kind of important. Just use it wherever elsewhere. So anyways, I get that Comanche Commander, and then I'm going to be going for Call to Arms, and just because I feel like it, Homeland Defense too, because why not? So basically, you can't really buff Etienne, as you know. You can't even give Etienne Alg buff in the first place. Etienne will not drink it. Kind of smart, I guess. But anyways,
you can't get a lot of these buffs, but what you can do is get the CTA buff and the Homeland Defense buff, which will increase the attack speed and pierce of both Etienne's UCAV and the Comanche Commander, which is really darn good. So you can get like a bunch of buffs or towers that you normally can't get buffs, and they do take buffs quite well, which is really nice. So you can get that and they'll go crazy. On top of that, you can also get like Glue Storm. Call to Arms and Glue Storm with this combination is a pretty good idea, but if you want to go for Homeland Defense, that's really funky and crazy cool that you could do too. I choose to be funky and crazy cool today, so I get Homeland Defense, and when you have that ability up, it kind of just shreds. You can grab some support for what else. I completely go AFK on round 96 and don't notice that I nearly died there, which is nice, but it's really awesome, and for round 100, just like a Spike Storm with a CTA goes absolutely insane too. So really cool strategy that you can do that I recommend. Other than that, Etienne just seems kind of basic to me, but you can do stuff with Etienne and you can definitely win chimps with it too. Everything's possible.
Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!